Hello and welcome into Talk Illini. As we have big news to cover for the Illini basketball team. We are here for Orange and Blue News over at the On3 Network. Definitely go check them out. All the content over there. Great written content, recruiting, football, basketball, everything you could possibly want over there. But it's not recruiting. Well, I guess it's kind of recruiting at this point because Brad Underwood just has a pipeline out there. But he's finally getting his man, Mihailo Petrovic, has been cleared by the NCAA to play. He is going to be a sophomore, a 22-year-old sophomore, 3 years of eligibility. Sounds familiar, don't you think so, Sonny?
It's incredible. Three. I honestly thought that there was a chance that he only get 1 year, just because
Oh
of
wow, okay.
how much he's played already in the pro leagues. But 3 years, Jared. This is just it's great news all around. Mihailo is a guy who I think can play a very important role on this basketball team. And if nothing else, it's nice that we can kind of just settle down now with what the rotation is probably going to look like. We still have Andrei Stojakovic, who we're waiting to hear on like how the extent of his injury. But Jared, I know I don't have to tell you this. Basketball season is next week. Starts off next week. And to have like this big piece of the puzzle settled, I think is such a huge relief for Illini fans.
Oh, totally. This is huge for Illini fans. You had questions about the rotation and what you were going to have, guard depth and some of that stuff. Not that you were concerned about Kylan Boswell or Keaton Wagler, but Wagler, just a freshman, bringing Petrovic in. Now, he's had some injury stuff here recently with, I believe it's his ankle and his hamstring, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so he's had some injury stuff as well that you're kind of weary of, but as we know of right now, no issues, so he should be good to play. Probably going to come off the bench. I would expect some high usage. Did you see what Brad Underwood said about him?
I did not know.
He said Mihailo adds just something we haven't had in a long time, called him a jet.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's pretty much what he is. I mean, he's a speedy backcourt guy. And if Andrei Stojakovic isn't in there making plays, Mihailo Petrovic is going to be in there making plays because he's really quick and going to set himself and his teammates up well.
Exactly right. I like it. For those of you who haven't watched a lot of Petrovic clips, he averaged 14 and 7 and almost 3 rebounds on 49% shooting in the Adriatic League. He was a contender for the MVP in that league out there. And again, it's not the greatest league in the world, but I would argue it's probably in one of the top 5-6 leagues outside this country. So it's not like he was playing against janitors or whatnot. But the thing I really like about Mihailo, and Jerry, I've been a fan of his as soon as we got him. I've been waiting, is that in a lot of ways, his style is unlike the other players of the Illini, which is what I like. It's kind of reminds me of Terrence Shannon Jr. 2 years ago, whereas it's just speed. Like Brad Underwood said, Jet, he basically puts his head down, he attacks the rim, but the only difference between him and Terrence is Mihailo plays more like a point guard, and he's willing to dish it out to open shooters, which is good because that's kind of what this team is built on. Before the winds shifted, I guess you can say, one of my hot takes for this upcoming season was going to be that Mihailo Petrovic would lead the Big Ten in assists, just because I thought he was going to start. And, obviously most people think Braden Smith is going to win. Not that I thought it was going to happen, but I feel like it wasn't getting enough credit as, it could happen. Let's put it that way. But Mihailo coming has me super excited. Obviously, he is nursing this injury. Apparently, he only played just a couple minutes in the secret scrimmage against the Florida Gators. But again, I really like his game. This is one of those where I think if I have to go down, I will. But I think he's going to be a vital part of this basketball team. But the idea that he's got 3 years ahead makes me even more excited as an Illini fan, just because the connection they've built with the Balkans at this point. He's not really the type of guy to leave. He's always been on the same sort of team. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Oh yeah, and I mean back to your point about Terrence Shannon Jr. Like he's going to be able to get out into the break, and he did that in these leagues that he's playing in before this. So it's not like this is something that Brad Underwood's going to try to get him to do that won't actually happen or hasn't actually done. He's been doing that for his teams, and so he's going to continue to be out there and do it. In his last league in the Adriatic League, he was 14.2 points per game, 7.3 assists per game, 2.8 rebounds per game, and he shot 48% from the field and 33% from 3-point range. And I don't know about you, Sonny, but man, for me, one thing that translates from league to league, unless you're playing at the YMCA against me and you, one thing that translates from league to league is 3-point percentage. And 33% 3-point percentage is Not so good that it makes me think Brad is only going to shoot 3-pointers this season, but it's good enough to say, yeah, he's a threat from out there, and they're going to have to respect him.
Yeah, I think like if there's a part of his game that he's going to have to work on, it is probably that. But again, if you surround him with the outside shooters, I just think that's going to make this offense so much more dangerous. It's one of those where if he is coming off the bench, and you have a guy like David Mirkovic coming off the bench, those two guys could be starting for the better part of the Big Ten Conference. In fact, most teams in the Big Ten Conference, and to have those guys coming off the bench now again. If you're paying attention to what happened at the scrimmage, it looks like David also had a really good game against the Florida Gators, and the Florida Gators have one of the top front lines in the entire college basketball world. So at this point, Brad Underwood may have no choice but to start David if he's able to do this kind of damage against the current national champions. But regardless, it's just nice to sit back and dream because we can. Last year we didn't get the clearance on Tomislav Ivisic until Halloween. And, we kept saying at this point, all we can do is wait. All we can do is wait. It's nice that we got the announcement a couple days before. Again, the season is just about a week away, and we know what this roster is going to look like now. It's a simple matter of Mihailo and Andrej just kind of getting healthy.
Yeah, for sure. And once they get healthy, it's going to be a really good situation. I like the way this roster is put together. I like the way it's built. I think that another concern you might have with Mihailo is defense. But if that's your concern, I'm really, really glad that you have Kylan Boswell back there in the backcourt too, because he's going to add you just such a piece back there to be able to take away guys. And Mihailo Petrovic doesn't have to be as concerned about that. I'm not gonna, I was gonna make a comparison, but never mind. I won't do that. Anything else? Looking forward, Jackson State game, anything like that for Mihailo that you're thinking about?
Well, I'll just follow up on your comment right now. Yeah, Mihailo is kind of undersized, and yeah, he's not going to be one of your defensive stoppers or one of half your roster is probably going to be better defenders than him. But look at that backcourt. As you mentioned, Kylan Boswell, he's an ace defender. Keaton Wagler looked a lot better on defense than I originally expected him to. And at 6'6", he's got the big frame that I think him, Kylan and Andrej Stojakovic, who's a plus defender himself, gives you a backcourt that you can rotate around Mihailo every now and then. And Brandon Lee, who is a freshman, I don't know if his game is offensively there, although he did come in and have one of those microwave scoring opportunities in the second half against Illinois State in that exhibition. But Brandon Lee's actually known as a defender, almost like a young version of Kylan Boswell. So even though Mihailo may not be that guy, the other three in the backcourt are. And again, the best part of all this is that you now have an option in the backcourt. Kylan Boswell, as good as he is, I think he can be a 15, 16-point scorer. I don't think he's a natural scorer, however. Keaton, I know the hype train has gone crazy on him all off season long, but he's still a freshman. And it's one of those where I would rather ease him in. And I don't think he's necessarily a 14, 15-point scorer right off the bat. Mihailo, genuinely, I think he comes in and all of a sudden he's going to cause opposing defenses a massive headache. And whatever you lose on the defensive side, I think you make up for on the offensive side just because he plays at a speed that nobody else on this roster necessarily plays at. And it's going to give other defensive coordinators, problems trying to conjure up a game plan for.
Well, and that uplifts the level of the team as well, because the team is going to have to try and play at that pace. They're not going to overplay themselves because they obviously won't have the ball in those situations, but off the ball, they'll have to play at a different kind of pace to be able to keep up with Petrovic. And just on your comment about the freshman, look, I am like everybody else. When you get a new player in there, you're excited about their talent and everything else. But I think we learned from last year, you don't want to have to rely on a freshman to be one of your main guys, right? As talented as Will Riley was and Kasparis Jaconis, I know he was a little bit older, but as talented as those guys were, they were still true freshmen coming in and trying to make things happen. And there is a learning process with that. I don't think Mihailo Petrovic will have as much of a learning process with that since he is 22 years old and he has been playing pro ball for so long. It sounds like there's a really good maturity to him and him being able to process the game well off the court or on the court, and then also be able to deal well with things off the court too. So we'll have to see how it plays out during the season. But this is great news for Illinois basketball, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, you and I both. 1 week from now, the season actually is going to kick off. So make sure you've hit the like on this video. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. JR and I are going to continue to churn out content for this channel, a brand new one, but we promise we're going to get you high quality content all week long, and you won't miss a thing as long as you're subscribed.
For sure. And if you guys ever have any questions, feel free in the comment section to let us know. We got Carson over there at Orange and Blue News. He's helping us out with the recruiting insights and everything there as well. So if you guys ever want some insights on a specific recruit or something like that, drop it in the comment section. We'll be there. We'll be looking at that kind of stuff. And Sonny and Carson do a good job with the recruiting stuff and bringing it in. Anything else, Sonny?
Nope. That's it. I'm excited. A great day for Illini basketball.
There it is. All right, everybody. Have a good one. Thanks. Like, subscribe. See you later.